Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si King Louis de Dios with U.P.O.U ID 201381759. So today we're going to be discussing three things. Number one is my paper about A Tale from Two Lenses, an analysis of social structure and processes of a grade school in urban Philippines. Ang ikalawang i-discuss natin today is about education and schooling from the perspective of conflict theory. And using these two papers, so the third thing that we're going to be discussing today, it's about the four theoretical perspectives, mainly functionalism, conflict theory, critical theory, and interpretivism. So allow me to discuss with you, first is yung A Tale from Two Lenses, an analysis of structure and processes of a grade school in urban Philippines. Actually, I have used two theories. I have used two lenses for this paper. First is the functionalism theory, and the second is the conflict theory. The point of reference that I've used for this case study selected because of my proximity and access to the said school. Verbal and written consent were secured prior to data collection. Key informant interviews were facilitated with the grade school principal of School O, as well as the Parent-Teacher Association president. Direct observation was also done, and additional references were cited using social media websites. I just want to discuss with you a very short description about the School O. The O grade school is currently one of the most advanced schools in the urban city. It is a non-sectarian school that has Catholic-inspired values. Regarding its social structure, the main decision maker of the school is mainly the school owner. School owner designates principals on elementary level and high school level, and it has coordinators under them. The coordinators are the ones who oversee the teachers. The main person who has direct involvement with the students and parents are the teachers. If the parents have issues and concerns, some directly contact the teachers, and some would course their issues through the PTA officers. So the grade school principal, who is my main respondent, conducts a daily prayer for all the teachers, and they talk about their daily routines, goals, announcements, and concerns. He also conducts a monthly meeting with the teachers and an annual briefing to talk about the things they need to improve on throughout the whole year. Most of their communications are done formally. It would be very rare for the teachers to hang out outside school offices with one another. The school is motivated to build healthy relationship and healthy communications with the parents. And this is one of the things that I like during the interview, because they have a very strong support with the parents. They are very supportive in the activities that the parents would want to do. They have allocated a budget for the PTA once a year, and they allow the PTA to propose the things they would like to work on throughout the year. Since they have supported PTA so well when it comes to social responsibility, thing that highlights is a theoretical perspective that actually gears towards functionalism, which is value stability. Functionalism, which thinks transmission is crucial to stable society. It is very important for the school system, which the School O really values, to transmit the values that they themselves think that are very important. So that is why they strongly support different community efforts, to help out the community. So in this case, they actually gear towards functionalism view on social transmission, compared to a conflict theory, which conflict theories think that transmission legitimizes inequality and is never neutral. But if you think about it, this School O actually honors not just the voices of the school owner, but also the voices of the teachers and also the parents. The way I see the school O, they actually do not support inequality, is quite neutral for the teachers and the parents as well. Compared to the critical theory, well, the critical theory, when it comes to social transmission, they promote understanding of causes and consequences of oppression, and they participate in liberation. If the school O is very supportive when it comes to dealing with social responsibility, a critical theories will not just help out in their responsibility to alleviate the needs of different communities, but they will also promote causes and share the consequences of oppression, and they will stir up the need to fight for freedom, especially from oppression. So there's a deeper cause for the critical theories when it comes to reaching out the communities, compared to a functionalist view in reaching out communities or in conducting social responsibility. Regarding interpretivism, they focus on social construction of meanings, and they study individual, not the social structure. So when it comes to social transmission, yes, they also support social responsibility, but they give more meaning to it. When it comes to checking what kind of views the school O has, it may be functionalism view or interpretivism view, because they give meaning to different causes. So let's move forward. Since I have mentioned that the school is very, very supportive when it comes to different community engagements, so it actually has 5 community engagements outside the school. These engagements were made by 5 different levels, such as elementary, high school, teachers, parents, and student council. So these 5 different groups inside the school has its own community engagement, which they have different efforts in reaching out to different communities. As far as the recent Taal volcano incident, so they were able to raise support from the school community and made some efforts to send bag of groceries to Batangas. Though the administration did not allow the parents and other students to come, few members of the PTAs were still able to come to Batangas in order to bring their goodies. Also, the school has decided to help the community who has lost their houses because of fire. So recently in their urban place, a certain portion of a small community near the school lost their houses because of fire, and they were able to send donations and even assistance to help the victims build their houses. They're active in responding to the community needs. Also, formal relationships within the organizations are evident. The principal has mentioned several efforts in order to conduct everyday briefing, monthly meetings, and yearly planning. However, non-formal relationships are still lacking. They have very rare occasions when teachers go out and hang out, as I've mentioned a while ago. However, informal communications are also evident, such as gossiping, airing of demands during informal conversation, and giving of opinions. Regarding different levels of environment, different groups of people are assigned on the following. It has competing or cooperating organizations, technological environment, political environment, and the economic environment. Regarding competing or cooperating organization, it is seen on the relationships of the school principals with other principals within Metro Manila. The principal that I have interviewed is active in the trainings and gatherings, which involves the different administrators and principals within Luzon. The recent gatherings in North Luzon area was well attended, and the principal was able to attend, build relationships with other principals, and ask some advice. The school also hosts parenting seminars involving different schools and including public schools within their city. They open their school for other schools' educational growth. In addition, they have an inter-school competition which is called GRAHISTOLIC, which is called Grammar, History, Literature Competition. Also, technological environment is so evident. There is someone in charge in making sure that all the technological equipments are updated each year. The person is making sure that all equipments are properly running. The political environment is also seen in the organization's processes. They have a yearly election of the PTA officers, and they also expose the students to student election, which they will be given the time to make campaigns to the students. As per the principal, or this is one of their ways in building leadership skills on their students' future leaders. In the high school department, they are also open to having some of their students get elected in Sangguniang Kabataan, or what we call SK. Last year, one of their students were part of the SK in their city as a kagawad. They are encouraging students to exercise their rights as a citizen to vote for the candidate they feel will make a difference. However, they won't endorse students who are running for public office to the entire school campus. And they also have an economic environment in which they can get their financing. They have a world-class facility and new buildings that other organizations can rent out for future events. They open this to serve the public, and of course at the same time to earn more money so that they can bloom more. The school, in my research, has a selection process when it comes to hiring new teachers. As per the principal, as long as the teachers are lead passers, has bachelor degrees in teaching, and was able to pass the sample teaching, the teacher can be qualified to teach at their school. The output that was evident in the grade school are the hunger and thirst to pursue their desired course. Because of the school's effort to improve the quality of education, they added additional subjects which I found very, very interesting and can boost the inner giftings of the students, which are the following: research, business math, public speaking, science research, journalism, and statistics from grade 7 to grade 10. According to the school principal, the school is very open to feedbacks and suggestions. There are feedbacks that they addressed as quick as possible, especially if it has something to do with a broken facility that the students needs to use. There is a yearly feedback form that is being circulated among parents. Parents and students are asked to rate the school and provide some additional comments from teachers, facilities, and including the canteen performance. So far, the school has been yearly replacing the school canteen's management because they have been receiving feedbacks about spoiled food, incomplete change, and late servings of food. So let's talk about the social processes. So as I've mentioned a while ago, we will be looking at the School O using two theories. The first is the functionalist theory. The school provided social consensus to a certain degree. As I've mentioned, they are very strong when it comes to supporting different causes. Actually, they have 5 community engagements which are being led by 5 different levels or 5 different groups inside the school. The PTA president told me during one of our informal interviews that they were able to meet with the school owner and gave everything they demanded for the school's beautifications, students' comfort, and upgrade of facilities. Also, they were given the opportunities to provide feedbacks on actually almost everything, including school facilities, teachers, administrations, and including the school canteen. They were given the task to also pick the community they want to help and develop. Though generally functionalists do not push people to take an active part on their community because they believe people are naturally adapted to their needs, parents are still able to pick their own community, which is a very good idea. On the other hand, I've noticed that most of their community engagements are way outside the school community. So most of the engagements are not actually within the community that the school belonged to. So I've noticed that the communities they reach out to are way outside the school community. So they do not have an existing program that addresses the social needs of the nearby communities. Let's look at the social processes using a conflict theory perspective. Competitions are part of the school's activities that are aimed at promoting camaraderie and community among students. Their families and the school staff. One of the posts in School.O.'s social media page is an online popularity contest of family pictures participated in by students and their respective families. The competition is part of the school's Family Day. 40 families are challenged to join the competition by posting their family picture. The highest numbers of likes online will receive a special prize. Each family tag their social media friends and encourage them to like and share their posts in order for them to win. Families with few friends, lesser access to internet, lesser influence are the ones who get fewer votes, while families who are influential, the highest so far has a mother who is currently working as a lawyer, gains the highest number of likes. Actually, the school and the PTA have other options to build the relationship of every family and to boost the unity of every individual instead of creating a competition like this. However, they rely on competition in order to check who is the most influential and most number of supportive friends. Another phenomenon that reflected the conflict theory was mentioned by the principal. One of the challenges that they try to address is their relationships with the parents. As per the principal, 60% of the parents are from the elite class or families from high income class. Since they are from this specific class, they tend to overpower the voice of the principal. They tend to assert for what they want to happen. The clash between the principal and students with the parents will take effect. The parents come strongly several times airing their specific requests. The principal will then try to balance things out and will lighten up the conversation. The principal claims that he's trying to build good relationships with the parents. So here are my findings. The functionalist theory was evidenced in School.O in the structure of the staff, as different departments are grouped according to their specified functions. The PTA also has its officers performing duties based on the different positions. On the other hand, conflict theory assertions can be seen in school competitions or family-oriented but coordinated by the faculty and staff of School.O and in anecdotal clashes between some parents. So for my conclusions, the O grade school has a strong social responsibility inside and outside school. However, it has a sense of competition and control inside. Catholics have a strong voice towards the students, though it is a non-sectarian school. And parents who are part of the high-income class tends to come in strong when it comes to airing opinions and feedbacks, and school administration approves the community they would like to help before the process of socialization begins. So now allow me to talk about the education and schooling from the perspective of conflict theory. Personally, I was raised to believe that education in a school is the only way for a certain individual to be successful in life. It has engraved in my mind that the only way for me to learn is through learning inside a classroom setting. This has led me to believe that learning outside formal school are secondary learnings or learnings that are not important at all. However, growing up, I've seen people from different walks and status in life I've seen people with high educational achievements that have better understanding on different subjects, especially the one that they have learned from school. But this doesn't take away the reality that there are people that I personally grew up with didn't learn in the confinement of school, but learned a lot of things by experience, driven by the motivation to uplift one's family from poverty. The worldview that I described in the preview in what I've mentioned a while ago was one that I was raised in and have come out of. The belief that education was the same as schooling. Apparently, this belief is prevalent in contemporary society. If our Department of Education related nomenclatures are any indication, ALS, or what we call alternative learning system, is coined as such in reference of course to the conventional structured K-12 system. The reality is that education may be achieved outside schooling. The view of education being equated with schooling has consequently created a radically impoverished idea of what education is and what it could be. My personal belief is that the Department of Education and the majority of every parent here in the Philippines, they will also support that learning is not just inside the confinement of a classroom setting, but learning can also be caught outside school and even by experience. That is why it is very important that we embrace the transmittal of values. Learning is not just inside the classroom setting, but learning can be done also outside, or also by experience, or by learning from an adult, or by learning from an informal setting. Most of the parents in the Philippines and even the Department of Education, I believe, would agree with me that learning is done because they would like to transmit values. As I've mentioned a while ago, there are 4 theoretical perspectives, and these 4 theoretical perspectives actually, they have views on the importance of transmitting values to the next generation, or to the students in every generation. For functionalist theories, transmitting values assimilate children. They give importance on how generation pass on culture, knowledge, and rules to future generation. However, for the conflict theories, they have a very opposite views when it comes to transmitting values in an educational setting. They focus on how societies transmit values, but education has the potential to liberate, because there is so much oppression that is well needed in the educational system in the Philippines. Educational system of an equal and just nation can never be just as the conflict theories mention. Schools, they believe that schools train students to participate in a capitalist labor force. They also view schools that most schools socialize students to reproduce an equal labor relationship. It means that the working class kids will go to a working class schools, which eventually work in a working class jobs, which is the outcome. The outcome is based on a social class. Well, of course, when we look at it in a well-off kids, they have well-off families, and then they will be enrolled in a well-off school, and they will be friends with well-off friends, and soon they will have their own businesses, and the outcome will be they have better connections, they have rich connections, they have business partners, and eventually their outcome is based on social class still. So conflict theory also views school as a banking education, which can be an instrument of oppression. Teacher filling students up, students are receptive only, because teachers can just fill up information to the students' mind, and students can only be good recipients, or passive or students can only be passive receptacles. So that's how conflict theory views transmitting values. Compared to the critical theory acknowledges how social class contributes to oppression, but also focuses on how individuals can be oppressed by other identities beside class, like race, gender, nationality, ability, or even sexual orientation. And when it comes to interpretivism view, they focus on the meaning that can be constructed through language, which has three basic types of meaning. First is the propositional, or what is meant. Second is relational content, who is being addressed. And third is the attitudinal content, the tone of the message. So there. Let me share with you about the sociological theory used for analysis, which is the conflict theory specific for this paper. The conflict theory, made popular by Karl Marx, claims that society is a state of perpetual conflict because of competition for limited resources. Individuals with wealth and power try to hold on to it by any means possible, chiefly by suppressing the poor and powerless and working to maximize their own benefits. Furthermore, proponents of the conflict theory adhere to the notion that the educational system reinforces and perpetuates social inequalities that arise from differences in class, gender, race, and ethnicity. As a commodity, schooling is being used to polarize the social classes. Public schools, for example, have less funding than private schools, resulting in more students qualifying for universities with stricter admission requirements. Regarding transmittal of values, actually, conflict theory have made some very good points, quite good concepts, which highlights the reality of what is going on with the educational system in the Philippines. Concept number one is this: perpetuated polarization of social classes. Proponents of the conflict theory adhere to the notion that the educational system reinforces and perpetuates social inequalities that arise from differences in class, gender, race, and ethnicity. As a commodity, schooling is being used to polarize the social classes. Public schools, for example, have less funding than private schools, resulting in more students qualifying from working class families, resulting in more students qualifying for universities with stricter admission requirements, just what I've said a while ago. Many students from working class families have additional challenges in the home, such as helping with chores, contributing financially to the family, poor students' environments, and lack of support from their families because of high chances of dysfunctional relationships among impoverished communities. Also, the educational system becomes a means by which the people in authority stay in power. When one individual won't be able to realize the school is not the only way for education, the elite, the working class, and the business people will continue to reproduce the same kind of people under them, or the same kind of people that will be next in line to them. Their children will experience the same learning, because the rich people will have classmates, just what I mentioned a while ago, that are rich, and in the future will themselves have the same interests, connections, and passions in business, while the poor who have been classmates since high school will end up having the same kind of work, the same thinking when it comes to money matters, the same goal in life, which is to be in the working class, instead of dreaming big while doing their passion in life. This will also lead to untapped potential, passion, and giftings. Because people of the same abilities won't be able to stir up each other's giftings because of their status in life. Instead, the rich and the poor who have the same passion won't be able to strengthen each other's giftings because they were raised in different school settings. This will be a never-ending cycle of people in power, high social class, and people in the working class being produced because of the concept that education should only be taught inside the classroom. For the concept number 2, which is inequality of opportunities for individual capacitation. The fulfillment of one's education is closely linked to social class. Students of the low socioeconomic status are generally not afforded the same opportunities as students of higher status, no matter how great their academic ability or desire to learn. In addition, our education system adheres to a traditional curriculum that is more easily understood and completed by students of higher social class. Why do we have a very small percentage of people who graduated from college and become a millionaire? Because most Filipinos were taught to be good at school to work for great companies. Subjects in school were taught in a standard, albeit restrictive way. Scheduled activities and expected submissions were made to assess individual learning outcomes that would serve the purpose of an educational system. However, the lack of opportunities to explore cutting-edge leadership and entrepreneurial careers or professions in the concept of a formal school have precluded students from dreaming bigger and having their own companies. Some people were able to get out of the box and pursue their passion and became successful in their own fields. On the other hand, our society celebrates success stories of rich people who didn't actually graduate from formal schooling, but because of high social class managed to own and manage a family business, consequently employing other people with higher college degrees to work for him. The diaspora of professionals to work abroad is an indirect consequence of missed opportunities to develop students within our educational system. This incorrect perception of education equated with schooling has inadvertently or deliberately pushed people to dream small for themselves. Students who belong to the low poverty line are not given the same opportunities as students from the higher class regardless of their achievements in school. For the concept number 3, which is cultural capital leverage, the cycle of rewarding those who possess cultural capital, example students from high socioeconomic status, is found in formal education curricula as well as in the hidden curriculum, which refers to the type of non-academic knowledge that students learn through informal learning and cultural transmission. The hidden curriculum reinforces the positions of those with higher cultural capital and serves to bestow status unequally. There's a hidden curriculum, or should we say a special favor, given to rich students compared to the students from the low-income class. For example, after the vacation, the students were asked by the teachers to share the special experiences they have during vacation. A rich student may share his experience in a museum in Italy, which will catch the attention of the art teacher. He was given the chance to share his first-hand experience. This has led to a special grade given to the rich kid because of the exposure he has. There's a special favor given to the rich students who experience cultural transmission compared to the low-income class with lesser exposure outside their own world because of their status. Let's talk about past educational reforms. One of the national reforms in education was increasing the budget for education and implementation of school-based management. In January of this year, the Department of Education has commended the early approval of 2020 budget, saying this will greatly help the agency's programs meet the challenge of quality in basic education. However, the infusion of funding has to be complemented with activities that are sensitive to the present inequalities brought about by difference in class, gender, race, and ethnicity. In its executive summary, results of the Program for International Student Assessment 2018 revealed the Philippines as last, or the 79th in rank, with 71.8% of shares of low achieving students. School-based management, or site management, is a form of decentralization of the educational system. It has been a major global educational reform thrust since the 1980s. SBM demands build up local capacities to confront both a complex hierarchical structure and a deep entrenched culture of acquiescence in the face of authority. SBM increased participation decision making, but did not seem to impact on teaching and learning when treated as standalone reform that focused primarily on a change in governance structure. There is some evidence of SBM's positive impact on teaching and learning when combined with capacity building of teachers and school heads, community participation, an atmosphere that encouraged changes in pedagogy, and systematic focus on continuous improvement. The combination of SBM as a mechanism for the decentralized governance in education with various strategies to improve schools and students' achievement has come to characterize an education reform approach dubbed as comprehensive school reform. CSR assumes that school improvement efforts are complex and ought to systematically address every aspect of a school. The curriculum, instruction, governance, scheduling, professional development, assessment, and parent and community involvement. For our conclusion, the worldview of education becoming synonymous to formal schooling has created a limited capacitation of education in our society. From the conflict theory perspective, issues that were discussed revolve around unequal opportunities for students to become educated within the school system. Educational reforms that were aimed to address the issues include an increase in budget allocation and school-based management. So for my personal recommendations, it will be good to give the schools the freedom to address the needs of the students without compromising the passion, the specific needs, and the interest of the students to come to school. An outline of programs, which you can see on the appendix, are being proposed to augment the reforms currently being enforced. Kids nowadays don't like to be boxed in with the school curriculum and strict policies. We can devise unique plans on how to promote freedom to breathe their feedback and give opinions online within bounds. Although children in pre-elementary or grade school may not define conflict theory, they certainly are exemplifying it as they are observed to habitually not conform with the status quo. Unfortunately, if the same system will push the young generation to conform without the freedom they need, they will end up untapped and devalued. I would like to thank my professor, my teacher, Ed Swanatu has revealed so much information that shouldn't be forgotten, especially for future educators like me. It has taught me a lot of things, especially when it comes to different foundational perspective, which actually helped me to view education on different sides. Before, I only view it as one side. There is a different facet of education that actually should also be studied as part of a foundational learning. So I am very much happy with this course. So thank you so much all for listening. God bless everyone.